Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So we're moving on now to the, I believe, noon second rules, right? So where did we stop last class? Can someone tell me?
We were reading rules of Alif, Lam, and Ra.
Yeah, did we complete those or no?
Yes, Lam,
Yeah.
Ra, we finished Ra.
Okay, good. So we're going to do a quick review. Of course, I know the rules of Ra were quite long, and you have to revise. If you don't review, obviously, you're going to get left behind, right? Because the rules of Ra are a bit longer. So just a quick review, I mean, of everything. Obviously, we're studying what? We're studying Tajweed again, and I've done this, many times. We'll keep on doing this. Obviously, review is very important. Tajweed, to understand it, you need to know makharij and sifat. Makharij, we've covered. How many makharij do we have?
17.
17, thank you. Okay, good. Obviously, there's a difference of opinion, but the most common opinion is 17 makharij, and we've covered those in detail, starting from the bottom of the throat with hamza and ha, middle of the throat, ayn, ha, and of course, you have to be constantly reviewing this. So try to take at least one ayah or a small portion of an ayah, or one line, for example, at the very minimum, and just analyze that line. So if it's Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Nas, it may be anything. Just take that small portion and go through it, right? So for example, Surah Al-Nas, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, you'll start off with the qaf, the back of the tongue, touching the soft palate. The lam is from the side of the tongue, from premolar to premolar, and so on and so forth. We've done this many times, okay? And of course, we're going to combine everything later on, just so you know how it's done. So anyways, we have makharij, sifat. Sifat can be broken down. How? Can someone tell me?
Yes, these are compulsory and temporary, and compulsory are again divided into two, mutadada and ghair mutadada, and mutadada are 8 in number, and ninth is sukun, sukut, sorry, tawassut in between shidda and rikhwa. And first of all, hams verse jahar, and shidda verse rikhwa. Hams is flow of breath, and jahar is stopping of breath, and shidda is stopping of voice, and rikhwa is flowing of voice, and tawassut is in between shidda and rikhwa. And istila is when istila is versus
Back of the tongue is raised, yeah.
Istifa, yeah, khussa zagutin kiz in the back part of tongue raises above, and istifal in which tongue remains smooth, doesn't raise, and itibak versus infita. Itibak, I forgot the definition.
So just remember, itbaq is like a plate, right? So the sides of the tongue as well.
It inclines towards the other point.
No, that's you're confusing now. That's inhiraf. We're talking about this one here, itbaq. Let me use this here.
When our middle tongue covers the palate.
Yeah, exactly. So the full of the tongue, right? So the full of the tongue will become like a plate, and it will hug the roof of the mouth, like and sawed and so on. Okay, and then the opposite, it lies flat. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for that. Was that sister is it Kulthum?
Yeah.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Jazakumullah khair for that. And the sister has done this. We need everyone to be on the same page. Okay. If not now, then obviously try to reach that level. You should be able to review everything without the notes, without the book eventually. And again, these diagrams help, right? So you have sifat, you can break it down like the sister mentioned, lazima and adila, permanent and circumstantial. And then permanent is mutadadda, which she covered. And then ghayr mutadadda, we've done these 7. right? Safir is the whistling of the Sad, Sin, and Zai. Qalqala is the 5 letters. Obviously, know the mnemonics like Hams is فحثه شخص سكت. شدة أجد قط بكت. خص ضغط قض, the heavy letters of استعلاء. إطباق is the 4 Sad, Lad, Ta, and Va. So Safir is the 3 Sad, Zai, and Sin. Qalqala is the 5 letters. قطب جد. Leen, of course, is the Ya and Waw. Obviously, sakina when it has the fatha before. So like an aw and ay, lean means soft. So you're not putting any pressure on it. It's nice and soft. Shay. Inhiraf is the lam and ra, inclining towards the makhraj of one another. Takrir is in the ra, and of course this sifa should be avoided or reduced. Tafashi is in the sheen, the spreading of the quality, the spreading quality of the sheen at tafashi. And then istitala is in what? Can someone help me? Istitala is what?
Dwad.
Dad, thank you. So it's basically the lengthening of the makhraj from the premolar all the way to the molars, okay? And we know that in the letter Dad, of course, it requires a lot of practice. It should be either the right or the left side or both. Most commonly pronounced from the left side, but you can try to pronounce from the right side as well. Your tongue should be, or your mouth should be stationary. You shouldn't be doing any weird movements like that or something, moving the tip of the tongue. That has nothing to do with it. Rather the back of the tongue, right? Keeping your mouth stationary. Lad, okay? And lad, of course, if we were just to analyze it, and this is something that you should be doing, can someone help me with the sifat? Let's go through it. So we're looking at the letter lad. Does it have hams or jahar?
Jahar.
Which means what?
You say it from your breath like sob.
Breath does not flow. Does it have shidda, ikhwa?
Shadda.
Shidda is, it's not shadda, it's shidda, and those are only in ajidu, qabt, and bakat, therefore it's rikhwa. And it's obviously not tawassut because that is the 5 letters, lin umar, right? So it's rikhwa or akhawa, you can say, right? So what does that mean? The sound?
The sound comes from the mouth.
The sound what? Flows or doesn't flow?
The sound flows.
Thank you. And then it has isti'la, right? Because it does have itbaq. It has itbaq. And it also has istitala. Okay. So now looking at these, so this is what you should do with every letter, right? So you look at the lad. Okay, so the breath does not flow. So if I place my hand here and I say like the fa, f, I can feel the breath on my hand. But in lad, the breath should not flow, right? So it shouldn't be something like alf, right? I mean, you have the correct makhraj, the back of the tongue, but the breath is flowing. That doesn't make sense. Rikhwa, the sound should flow, right? So if you are reading something like a heavy dal, which some people do, they use the tip of the tongue and they say right? Then obviously the sound is not flowing. But if it's done in the proper makhraj, the back of the tongue, right? The molars, we know, pressing against the upper teeth there. The sound should flow, right? That's where you hear the sound. And istitala is the lengthening. So from premolar to molar, it has a long makhraj. Okay? Isti'la, we know the back of the tongue is being raised, as well as itbaq, which means a very heavy letter. The sides is also being raised. Okay? Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. And I gave the example of lad. Some people have a little bit of trouble in pronouncing that. And then we did al-sifat. We did al-sifat, right, which is circumstantial, temporary. We have 11 in number, and you can memorize them in the little poetry or the couple there, the poetry lines. إظهار ندغام وقلب وكذا إخفى وتفخيم ورق أخذا والمد والقصر مع التحرك وأيضا السكون والسكت حكي. Right? So إظهار, إدغام, قلب is إقلاب, and then إخفى is إخفى, تفخيم is the heavy sound versus ترقيق, right? And we mentioned that because of the poetry, they used, obviously the authors have to change the words sometimes or sometimes add, words like kada and so on. Wal-mad is mad, qasr, at-taharruki is haraka, and then sukoon as well as sakt. Okay. So those are 11 in number. So we covered tafkhim and tarqiq. Tafkhim it means full. Tarqiq is the opposite. So those letters which are always heavy are the 7 letters of isti'la, khussa, daghtin, qil. And then the heavy or the letters which are light are the remaining alphabet letters. And then we have those which are sometimes heavy, sometimes not, are alif, lam, and ra. And of course, lam in the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So it's not the lam in other words, but only the lam in the word Allah.
Yes.
And of course, we said that the alif, it follows the letter before it. If the letter before it is light, the alif will be light, like ba, we don't say ba, right? But if it's a heavy letter like ta, then you don't say ta, you say ta, or like qa, and you don't say qi. Okay. Whereas in the lam in the word Allah, remember we mentioned the principle, very simple. If it has a fatha or a dhamma, it should be heavy. Allahu, there's a fatha. Or if there's a dhamma, Rasulullah, and it's not Rasulullah or Allah. Okay. Whereas if there's a kasra before it, the lam in the word Allah should be light. Tarqiq, right? Billah, fillah, lillah. So we don't say billah or fillah, right? We say lillah, billah, bismillah, and so on. We don't say bismillah, right? We say bismillah. The tongue lies flat, and we know how to pronounce that, of course. Okay, so there's a summary for you. If preceded by full, read with full heavy mouth, or a full mouth, sorry. And if preceded by an empty mouth letter, read with tarqiq or empty. Okay, and then I just told you this. So there's a summary. If preceded by fatha dhamma, if preceded by kasra. And then we did the rules of ra. So very simply, without looking here, if the ra has a fatha or a dhamma, it's heavy. It doesn't matter if it has a shadda on it. It doesn't matter if it has 2 fathas on it, or 2 dhammas, or it has tanween. Doesn't matter. If there is a fatha or a dhamma, the ra is heavy. So ra and ru, right? Like in the example here, rubama, there's a dhamma, okay? Whereas this other example here, rabbaka, there is a fatha, rabbaka. And of course, be very careful when you're pronouncing this word. You don't round your mouth and say rubbaka, right? Again, very important when you're reading any letter, the mouth should be, or the lips and everything should be stationary. You're not doing any weird movements. Unless there's a dhamma, then you round, of course, you round your lips, right? So here it should be rabbaka and not rubbaka. And then if there's a kasra, it should be rijalun, it should be light. Again, here, it doesn't matter if there's a shadda before it. And then we covered this example of, there's only one word in the Quran which is read, you can say tarqiq or light. It's in the word majareha in Surah Hud, and you're kind of inclining towards the ya, so in between the alif and the ya, and it should be read tarqiq. So majare, you don't say majare. Okay, this is the only example in the Quran according to the riwayah of Hafs, right? Of imala. Okay, it's called imala, right? Imala here. Amala yumilu, to incline. Okay. And then we have the ra sakina preceded by mutaharrik. So again, same principle. If there's a fatha or a dhamma before the ra, which has a sukoon, right, then it's heavy. Yarji'un, yurja'un. And if there's a kasra, it's light. Fir'aun, al-maqabir, and not bir. Okay. Maryam, there's a fatha before, it should be heavy. Again, it says here that it's only done when you're stopping, of course. If you continue, then you apply the rules of the ra. When it has a fatha, dhamma, kasra. And then we have 3 exceptions to the rule if the kasra is temporary. And I explained what temporary means, that the hamza is not always pronounced, right? So if you're continuing with a word before it, then you're not going to pronounce the hamza. Therefore, it's called temporary, right? So, ya ayyatuha nafsul mutma'innatu turji'i. You didn't hear the hamza. I didn't say to irji'i, I said turji'i. The ta joined the ra directly. So therefore the kasra was temporary there. If that is the case, then the ra will be read with tafkhim. It does not matter if there is a kasra on the hamza, right? So in this case, it's going to be read heavy or full mouth. And then there's a quick way to check it. You look at the letter before, I just said that. Okay, second exception was if ra sakina is followed, meaning after there's a letter of isti'la in one word, it should be read heavy. Like here, qirtas, firqah, mirsad, and so on. These are the only examples in the Quran. So contrary to the rule of the ra, right, it should have been read light here. It should be mirsad. Because why? Because there's a kasra before the ra with a sukun. However, this goes against the rule because of the heavy letter after it. Therefore, we do tafkhim and we make it heavy, mirsad. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Please bring in front of us that word. Yes. Here in Kirtas, we are looking a heavy letter before Ra and then Ta after Ra. So the conclusion is this, that only we will consider the heavy letter after Ra. Not we will not consider the letter before Ra.
Yeah, so look here, number 2, if the ra sakina is followed, right? So after it, there's a letter, a heavy.
After.
Okay, so yeah, so this example, it just, it was just so that this had a heavy letter before and after.
Yeah.
It just means you should be more careful when reading the letter.
But we are considering only Ta.
Exactly, because that's the letter after the ra.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
But let's say there was not a heavy letter after, then of course the ra would be read light. Okay.
Okay.
For example, the letter or the word maybe. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we look at the letter after in the second exception. And of course, it should be in one word. So look here, this here, anzir qawmaka. So the ra has a sakin preceded by a letter with a kasra, therefore it should be read light, anzir. Okay, if I stop here, it'll just be light, anzir. However, there is a qaf after it, so it should be heavy. No, so the rule says the condition is that in the same word. Okay, if it's not in the same word, then you just apply the rules as you learned before. So anzir qawmaka. If this was one word, then it would be, of course, heavy, which is not the case, because these are examples of heaviness or the heavy letters in the Quran. Yeah, go ahead.
These are two different letters. Anzir qawmaka.
Yeah, two different words.
Yeah, two different words. So it will be light. This ra will be light.
In this example, it will be light because the dal has a kasra before. Yes.
And fasbir and sabra.
Same thing, yeah. Same thing, because they're two different words. So fasbir, one word, sabra.
This is light, and this is also light.
Yeah, it's also light. Exactly. Okay. And also here, wala tusa'ir, it's also light. Why? Because the letter before it, which is the ba in this case, the dal in this case, and the ain in this case, they all have kasra.
Right. Okay. But kha is in the other letter, other word, kha.
Yeah. So maybe this is just a misprint or something. There should have been a space here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
It's two different words. Well, actually, right. Words here, but so sa'ir is one word and khadda is another. Okay. Okay, and then the third exception was the ra sakin and kasra is in one word. If they're in two different words, the ra will be pronounced with tafkhim. So alladhi is one word, irtada second word, rabbi one word, irji'un second word, rabbi one word, irhamhuma second word. Therefore, since there are two different words, the ra will be tafkhim. And this is like, the first exception that we learned, kind of, right? Because the ra is the alif here is temporary, right? The kasra is temporary. I mean, the alif is hamzatul wasl, right? So last time I explained hamzatul wasl and qata'. Hamzatul wasl is that which you can join the letter before it, and hamzatul qata' means the hamza which is always pronounced. Okay. So if you look here, these are in two different words. So if they're in two different words, the ra is heavy. Alladhi irtada. So here you would say rabbirhamhuma and not rabbirhamhuma. Why? Because there are two different words, even though there is a kasra before the ra with a sukun. Okay. And then look here in these examples here, the kasra before the ra sakina is temporary and it's in a different word to the ra sakina. Therefore, it will be read with tafkhim. And these are the only examples in the Quran. If you can understand these, then you should be good to go. Obviously, understand the rule behind it. And then I explain here the ra mushaddada, upon which a waqf is made, what does it say here? Yeah. Will be read with tafkhim. If it has a fatha or a dhamma and kasra, it will be read with tarqiq. So same rule. The only thing I just added here, if you guys remember, is that because of the shadda on the ra, this shows that there are two Ra's, right? So أين المفر, the fa, right? I'm going to write it here. المفر. المفر. So it's actually, the first Ra has a sukoon and the second one has a dhamma. It's like that, al-mafarru. But because two Ra's came together, we put a shadda on it and we suffice with a one letter. But in order to show that there was a shadda there, we have to apply stress or nabr to the letter before it. So we say al-mafar, okay? And here al-mustaqar and mustamir and mustaqir. So instead of just saying al-mafar, al-mustaqar, mustamir, mustamir and mustaqir, we have to apply a little bit of stress to the letter before it. So mustamir in this case, al-mafar, okay?
So in this,
Just let me finish, please, sister. Let me finish this, please.
Okay.
So the reason that we apply the stress here is to show again that there is another ra here, okay, because of the shadda and the ra. So al-mafar. Now you may hear that some people, you know, they even stretch the ra a little bit more, al-mafar. That should not be done. Rather, we just apply stress to the letter before, and that should suffice, inshallah. Yeah, go ahead with your question now.
I was asking, then the stress will be on fa, ra will be light then?
What do you think?
Although it is, I think it is heavy, but
Yeah, it's heavy.
Okay. If we are not putting stress on ra because of shidda, even then it will be heavy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So remember, the rule is the same. The rule did not change. If there's a fatha or a dhamma before the ra with a sukoon, because
Right.
this is a sukoon, right? Technically, it's a sukoon. It's one, the first ra is sukoon, the second one has a dhamma, right? And here it will be read light, mustamir. The ra will be light because of the kasra before it. So that part is fine. We understood that. But what I'm trying to explain is that you have to show a little bit of stress or emphasis on reading just to show the shadda there, okay?
Jazakallah.
Yeah, and then just be a little bit careful. So we have shidda, which is the sifa we learned, and shadda is the W on top, okay? Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, the ra sakina preceded by a sakin preceded by mutaharrik. So that's quite easy. So remember, the ra has sukoon, in this case, wal asr, right? So we look at the letter before it. If it has a fatha or a dhamma, it should be heavy. But if the letter before it also has a sukoon, then we go even one letter further backwards and we look at that. So same rule, if it has a fatha or a dhamma, it should be heavy. If it has a kasra, it will be light. And this was the only exception, that if the ra sakin is preceded by ya sakin. Okay, this was the exception, right? If the ra sakin is preceded by what? A ya with a sukoon, then it will always be read with khayr, khabir, it doesn't matter. Okay, and it will only apply during waqf. Obviously, if you continue, then the rules of ra will apply. So in this case, it has dhamma, it should be heavy, khabirun or khayrun, and so on. Okay, alrighty. Here's the summary for you. The ra mutaharrika mean the ra which has a fatha, dhamma, kasra. Again, if it has a fatha or a dhamma, heavy. If it has a kasra, tarqiq, light. Ra sakina before a mutaharrik, before it is a mutaharrik, sorry. So you have a ra with a sukoon before it, a letter which has fatha, dhamma, kasra. So if the letter before it has a fatha or dhamma, tafkhim. If it has a kasra, tarqiq. And then we did ra sakina, we just did this right now, right? Before it is a mutaharrik. And then we did the three exceptions. Kasra is temporary, the ra sakina is followed by a letter of isti'la, so after it in the same word, and the ra sakina and kasra are in two different words. So in these cases, they will be heavy, right? Okay. Now, before we move on, do you have any questions?
No.
Almost done the book, alhamdulillah. We just have the rules, noon sakin, mim sakin, the mad, and waqf, I believe that's it. Any questions? Does everyone understand? So I need, let's see, there's 22, 23 people here. I need everyone to say, yes, I understand in the chat boxes. Type in yes or type in no. So I know that everyone is with me.
Assalamu alaikum. Please could you remind us of the difference between shadda and shidda? Sorry if I'm completely
Yeah, that's fine.
lost. I
Okay.
missed a little bit. Sorry, I should have clarified that. I know about the shadda, but it's
Yeah.
the bits that I'm not sure of.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I know about the shadda, but it's the shidda, the sifa aspect that I'm
Oh,
not
okay,
sure
okay.
about. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, so I'll go back to that page, but basically just know that shidda and shadda are just, this is the symbol on top, and that's the sifa that we learned, right? So you're talking about, or you're asking about the sifa. So this is what we covered.
Shadda has another word that is tashdid.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
So this is shidda, right, with a kasra on the sheen, shidda. So this is the sifa that we learned. Remember, in the opposites, we have the lazima, which are permanent. So meaning that you cannot take this quality out of the letter. If you do, the letter won't exist. Okay, and these are found in these letters here, right? So these 8 letters have the quality of shidda, or the sifa of shidda, and it literally means strength. And the sound is imprisoned when reading these letters. So so jim, for example. If I place or take a hamza before it and I say ad, right, the sound is gone. Ad, okay? Or like qaf, aq, or the ta, al. So the sound is imprisoned. Okay, the sound is not flowing like in sheen. You say ash, okay, or fa, af. Even the kaf and ta, the sound is imprisoned at first, but the breath flows because the kaf and ta also are have the quality of hams, which means the breath is flowing. Okay. So we first stop the sound, ek, and then the breath flows, ek, et. Whereas the other letters, the qalqala will apply except for the hamza, right? So you have aql, ato, ajit, and so on. Does that answer your question?
It helps a little bit. I think when it's mixed with the other properties, I'm a little bit lost. But
Yeah. So have you studied, or did you attend those classes where we covered these sifat?
I missed a couple of lessons, so I'll just catch up, inshallah, using the online recording.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have the recording, so just go ahead and try to catch up, inshallah.
Perfect. Thank
if you have any questions next class, or you can ask then, okay?
Inshallah. Thank you so much for going back to the correct page. That helped. Jazakallah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and definitely this goes for anyone else as well. If you've missed classes, right, you have the recordings, alhamdulillah. So try to go and catch up on those classes. And then if you have any questions next week, we can try to answer them. No, just joined work and I get the book. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay. Ustad Nabila, teacher Nabila has just sent these links for you. So the first one is with all the previous lessons. So if you click on that, you can get access to the recordings. The second is the book I'm just using, the main book. And then we have a third book, or a second book, sorry, which is the exercise book. And this, inshallah, we're going to use, of course, and we have been using it heavily for the makharij and sifat. Okay, so I have, I think 3 or 4 people, actually, well, 5, 6 people responded. So what about everyone else? Does everyone else understand them? They're okay with everything?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to go and pick on random people. So inshallah, I'm hoping that everyone is following along. Because you're attending a class, right? You're taking out your time to learn. So, you know, if you have any questions, you can ask right now. Okay, so I think a lot of people are catching up. That's fine. Inshallah, go ahead and you know, look at the recordings and then try to catch up. Inshallah, try to do so before next week. Inshallah, because we're gonna complete the book soon, and we might have short test as well. Okay. So we'll see, inshallah. So after the I'm sorry?
After we complete this book, do we do another book?
Yeah, so the intention is that after this book, inshallah, we're going to go ahead and start with the actual recitation of the Quran. Maybe do a few surahs like Surah Al-Fatiha, maybe the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, the short surahs at the back, and then implement all the rules and everything that we just learned, okay? So yeah, so that's good, Abu Maryam, yeah. So if you understand, that's fine. You just need to sit down, like I said, and revise, learn everything, make those little charts, and we have them in the book as well. Okay, so what time is it now? Let's see. Okay, yeah, we have about half an hour or so. So we're going to go ahead into the rules of noon and mim sakin. So these are what everyone likes to learn, right? So whenever anyone hears about tajweed, right away they're like, okay, let me go ahead and learn about ikhfa, about iqla. But they forget about makharij and sifat, which is really, if you think about it, it makes up the letter, right? So if you don't know how to read the letter properly, there's really no point in learning about noon sakin and so on. These are very easy to learn, by the way, as we'll see today, inshallah. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is new share. Okay, so I have a whiteboard here now. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain this, and then we're going to go and read the book, inshallah, okay? So first off, we have noon sakina. The rules, it's called the rules of noon sakina and tanween, okay? So it's called the rules of noon sakina and tanween. Okay, so first of all, what does that mean? So if you look here, can everyone see the whiteboard?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have the rules of noon sakina. So what is a noon? We know what a noon is, right? It's one of the letters. What is the makhraj of noon? Someone tell me. Who has not been responding? Someone who has not been responding, please. Someone new. Tell me, what is the makhraj of noon?
May I tell?
I'm sorry?
May I tell?
Who is this?
Kulsum.
Okay, I would want someone else to respond. I know you're doing a lot, and jazakallah khair for that, but let's have someone else.
Assalamu alaikum. I think it's is it a blocking of the sound when you say, like, if you put a sukoon on the noon to say an, is a combination of two areas for the makhraj of noon.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine, but what I'm asking is, where does the noon come out from? What's the makhraj? So if you remember the class where we covered the makhraj of each letter, like the rise from the tip of the mouth and so on. Do you remember that?
So it's the tip of the tongue, and it's the gum line of K9 to K9, isn't it? Noon.
It's yes. Thank you for that. Jazakallah khair. Exactly. So that's what I was asking, right? So the makhraj. So maybe I didn't explain the question correctly, but yeah, you guys know how to do it, right? So you have we covered the makhraj in detail, right? So the qaf is the back of the tongue touching the soft palate. Kaf is the back of the tongue touching the hard palate. So noon is from K9 to K9, right? And before that we have the lam, which is from premolar to premolar, and then going forward we have the ra. Okay, so the tip and top. Okay. See the comment box here. My 4-year-old niece says noon is her favorite. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a smiley face, right? Tongue touching the roof of the mouth. Yeah, so it's exactly. So from K9 to K9, right? We covered the teeth there. It's touching the roof of the mouth. Yes, perfect. Nose, yeah. So nose basically, so part of it is, the noon is part of it is red in the nose, right? If you plug your nose and say noon or meme, it's not going to happen. So part of it, yes, is the nose as well, but the makhraj of it is as the brother said, inshallah. Okay. So the rules of noon, so now we know what noon is. Sakina, what does sakina mean? Sakina just means that there is a sukoon on the noon. Now, why did I say sakina and not sakin? Right, this is more to do with Arabic, but I'll just explain it here quickly. So in Arabic, right, the letters themselves, actually, you know what? I'm not going to explain. You guys will get confused. Okay. Let's leave that for an Arabic class. Okay, so the rules of noon, sakina, and tanween. Okay, so sakina, we know that there is a sukoon on the noon, done. Tanween, why is the tanween also included in the noon or in this category? Can someone tell me quickly? Why do you think the tanween is also included?
It's because the sound is the same.
The sound is the same. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. So if you look here, let's write, for example, kitabun. Tabun. Okay. That's supposed to be tanween. I don't know if you can see it, but this is also the same thing as kitabun. So you can either write two dhammas on the ba, or you can place one dhamma on the ba and then noon with the sukoon. So basically tanween, and I think we covered this back, it's mentioned in the book that it's actually just a noon sakina, right? And the reason for doing or adding the tanween, right, is because when someone is writing a lot, you don't want to constantly write the noon sakina every single time. So therefore the Arabs, they just made an additional letter or additional haraka, sorry, and then that basically would cover the noon sakina there, right? So instead of just adding the noon sakina every time, they would just put another dhamma or another fatha or another kasra. Okay, oh, I did not want to do that. Okay, so the rules, the rules of noon sakina, or noon sakin, tanween, it's fine. It's in English, it's okay. The rules of noon sakin, tanween. We have 4 rules here. I'm going to write this in Arabic as well. Idgham, ikhfa. Everyone likes to learn this stuff, eh? They usually come to learn this. The other stuff was boring, right? Okay. How do I go down here? I don't know what's going on. Okay. Oh, there we go. And iqlab. So I wrote them in Arabic as well, and you have them in the book in front of you, of course, as well. Okay. So we have idhar, ikhfa, idgham, iqlab. So what is idhar? Idhar literally, and of course, you should know the literal meanings as well as the technical meanings, okay? So idhar literally means to make clear, okay? So what does that mean? That means that the noon is read clearly. Simple, right? You pronounce the noon from its makhraj, you say an'amta. You don't do anything weird. Ikhfa literally means to hide. So you're hiding the sound of the noon. So you don't say an. It's not an. So the tip of the tongue is not pressing against the makhraj or the pressing against the palate or the roof of the mouth. You're not saying an, rather you're hiding it. Okay. And you're saying anfusikum. You're hiding it. Okay. With idgham literally means to merge, to join, to assimilate. So you're joining the letter before it directly to the letter after it, right? So for example, you have man ya'mal, meme with a noon sakina after it, man, and then there's a ya. So the meme will join the ya and you say man ya'mal. Okay, or for example, man law. And I'll write these down as well. I'm just trying to explain it quickly. Iqlab literally means to change. So you change the noon sakina to a meme, and then you apply ghunna. Okay, so let's go here now with examples. So example of idhar, okay? An. Okay, look here. We have a noon sakina followed by a ayn. So therefore it will be read clearly. An-amta. So what are the letters of idhar? Very easy. They are the throat letters. What are the throat letters? Hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. If you've been covering or practicing with us the makharij, you should know very easily. They're the throat letters. The bottom of the throat, hamza, ha. Middle of the throat, ayn, ha. The top of the throat, ghayn, kha. So these 6 letters are the throat letters. So if a noon sakina or a tanween appear before one of the throat letters, which are the hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha, then you're going to apply idhar, means you're going to read the noon clearly. An, amta. An, you can see the tongue. I pressed it against the roof, the makhraj of the noon. An'amta. I didn't hide the noon or anything. Okay? Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes, clear.
Yes.
Good. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to explain idgham, and then I'm going to go back to ikhfa, and you'll see why. So remember, idhar was clear. Ikhfa is the opposite. It means to hide. Okay? So idgham means to merge, to join, to assimilate. You have the book in front of you, so you can look and follow along with that as well. So again, we have 6 letters here. And how do you remember the letters? Yarmalun. Yar, in this phrase, yarmalun. Yarmalun. Okay? Yarmalun. So if you want to remember the idgham letters, if someone tells you what are the letters of idgham, you say yarmalun. So ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, noon. Okay, these 6 letters again. So easy to remember, we have 6 letters of idhar and 6 letters of idgham. Quite easy, right? Now, what are the letters of iqlab? The letters of iqlab are only one, which is a ba. That's it, ba, okay? So we have, again, 6 letters of idhar. Hamza, ha, ayn, ha. Actually, you know what? Let me just write it here. 6 throat letters. Can someone tell me what are the throat letters again? I just said it like 5 times, but yeah, go ahead.
Hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghain, kha.
Okay, perfect. Good. And what are the letters of idgham? Yarmalun. And the letter of iqlab is just ba. Okay. Now, if you've understood this, then you know that ikhfa is all the letters besides the 6 throat letters, besides yarmalun, and besides ba. That's it. Okay. Those are all the letters of ikhfa, and there are 15 in number, inshallah. Okay, just give me one moment here. Okay, so ikhfa is all the letters apart. So if you've learned the 6 letters of idhar, the 6 letters of idgham, yarmalun, and the ba, then ikhfa is all the letters besides it. Okay, is that all understood so far?
Yes.
Yes, clear.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, let me actually do this here. New share. Okay, I guess I can. Okay, so we learned idhar, right? We learned idhar, and we learned the example there of an'amta, right? So in Surah Al-Fatiha, so you're not going to say an'amta or anything weird like that. You're going to make the noon nice and clear. An'amta. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which was idgham, right? Idgham, which means to join, to merge, to assimilate, and so on and so forth. And idgham, what are the letters of idgham? Someone tell me.
Yarmalun.
Yarmalun.
Thank you.
Yarmalun.
Okay. Now, yarmalun, these 6 letters, they break down into 2 categories. Okay. Category number 1 is just yanmu, and number 2 is ra and lam. That's it. Okay. So these 4 letters, you can remember them in the phrase yanmu. This will be with ghunna, and I'll explain this in a second. And these other 2 without ghunna. Okay, what is ghunna, by the way? Ghunna is just to hold the pulling of the sound in the nose. That's it. Okay. So if you hold the sound a little bit, man ya'mal in your nose, you've done ghunna. Anfusikum, inna, amma. You've held the sound in your nose. And remember, makhraj number 17 was khayshum, right? You guys remember that or no? What's the last makhraj?
Yes, khayshum.
Which is what?
From the nasal cavity.
Thank you. Right. So that's it. So ghunna comes from there. So that's one of the makhraj there. Okay. Yeah. So now examples here. Let's look at some examples. So we have man, Noon as sukun followed by ya. من يعمل. من و من
with غنة.
لو من را بل All right. Okay, there we go. Okay. So these are some examples for you now. So Nun Sakina is followed by a Ya. So what do I do first of all? So idgham means to join. So I'm basically going to, how do I get this? Yeah. So I'm going to basically cross this Nun out. The Mim will join the Ya. May Ya'mal. That's it. Now, is it with Ghunna or without? Since it's one of these four letters, Yanmu, Ya. Therefore, I'm going to apply Ghunna. I'm going to hold the sound in my nose. Man Ya'mal. Man Ya'mal. Next one. Nun Sakina followed by Waw. First rule, I join the Mim to Waw. Miwal. Miwal. But it's one of the four letters. Therefore, I apply Ghunna. Miwal. So the sound is actually the Ghunna. It's not the Nun. Miwal. Next one, Nun Sakina followed by a Lam. Therefore, the Mim will join the Lam. Mallaw. Do I apply Ghunna or not here? Of course not, because it's in the second category. Therefore, I just say Mallaw. So it's not Mallaw, rather Mallaw. Same thing here. Sorry, what did I add here? Okay, I made a mistake here. Okay, yes, that's what I did. Okay, so forget about that. So yeah, that's example of the La, and the same thing, the Lam, and the same thing would be the Ra. So marrana, or that's not a word actually. So that's why I put bal rana. Anyways, that's fine. So if you have a Nun Sakina followed by a Lam or a Ra, then you're going to join it completely without any Ghunna. When I say completely means that there is no trace of the Nun. Okay? Mallaw. You didn't hear any of the Nun. Mallaw. So the Mim went directly to the makhraj of the Lam, which is the side of the tongue, premolar to premolar. Mallaw. Does that make sense, everyone?
In
Yes.
Mallaw, we will skip Noon.
Yeah, so you're in all of these, you're doing idgham. You're merging the Mim to the Ya, right?
But here the Noon Gunna sound is coming. Man Ya'mal.
Yeah, because
and
it's with Ghunna, right?
Yeah. And
These are without.
in this we are just skipping Noon.
What is you basically in all of them you're joining, right? You're doing idgham. So don't just skip, don't just say you're not reading the Ghunna. Mallaw. It's clear, right? There's no Ghunna there. Mallaw. Mallaw. But in the case of man ya'mal, you're applying Ghunna.
Yes. Yes.
When you say you're skipping the Noon, well, you are skipping the Noon anyways, because where's the makhraj of Noon? The tip of the tongue touching the roof, right? Canine to canine. So when you say ya'mal, is your tongue touching the upper part of the... See, now I can explain it this way. But imagine if I did not explain makharij or sifat to you, you'd be lost, right? So that's why it's very important to learn makharij and sifat, okay? Okay, so alhamdulillah, we've done al-khar. I'm sorry?
Sorry, Chef. Can I just ask? So can we think of it like, because the sister was saying skipping the Nun. Can we think of it like when we're merging? So it's like putting a shadda on the ya.
Exactly, that's what you're doing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're putting a shadda there, and you'll see it in the masahif, some of the Quran, the copies there.
Okay, exactly.
And we'll go through many examples, of course. We'll go through many examples and exercises. This is just so you can understand.
Brother, can you just do an example with the Noon? Because this one, I've been through these rules, but the one called Noon followed by the Noon, because with Yamnu, there's a Noon in there as well, and we're getting rid of a Noon. Can you just give me an example of that? Because I want to understand this one.
Yeah, it's right here. So there's a Noon Sakina followed by Noon. So what do? You join the Mim to Noon, min, and you apply Ghunna, min ni'ma.
Okay.
Okay. So that one's easy because there's two Noons that came together, right? So this Mim will join min, and then you apply Ghunna, min ni'ma. Okay. So we've done that, and now we're going to go to, let's do Iqlab because it's only one letter. Iqlab, just the letter of Ba, right? So example is min ba'di. Min ba'di. Okay. Noon Sakina followed by Ba. what happens here?
You change the noon to the meme.
Yes, thank you. So you change the noon because iqlab means to change, right? Iqlab means to change. So the noon is changed into a meme. Mim, and then I go to the ba. Mim ba'di. So I apply ghunna, I hold the sound in my nose a little bit. Mim ba'di. That's it. Easy. And then I have ikhfa, which is all the other letters. All other letters. So if it's not idhar, the 6 throat letters, if it's not the letters of idgham, if it's not a ba, then that's it, right? It's going to be ikhfa. So anfusikum min ladunka min qabl, and so on. So noon sakina, I didn't write the harakat, but pretend there's this noon sakina sukun here, and there's a fatha here. So noon sakina followed by fa. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to hide the noon. Okay. So try to understand this. So the hamza is going to approach the makhraj of noon, which is the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth, but it's not going to hit the makhraj of noon. It's going to come very close to it, like this. And then it's going to, you're basically going to prepare your mouth for the next letter, in this case, the fa. Okay? So what's going to happen here is anfu, because the fa is after. Anfu. So I'm hiding the sound, right? Anfusikum. Here, min ladunka. Noon sakina followed by kaf. Ladunka, ladunka. Don't worry about here. Min ladunka, there's another example of idgham, by the way. But here, ladunka. So noon sakina followed by kaf. So I'm not going to say ladunka. I'm not going to pronounce the makhraj of noon, because if I do that, then I've done idhar. Rather, it's going to come close to the makhraj of noon, and then I'm going to slowly move towards the kaf, which is the back part of the tongue. Ladunka, ladunka. Okay, min qabl. So noon sakina followed by qaf. Again, I don't say min qabl. If I do that, then it's idhar. So I come close to the makhraj of it, min, and then I go closer to the next letter after it, the makhraj of the letter after it, in this case the qaf. Min qabl. Min qabl. Okay? Ladunka anfusikum min qabl. And you kind of hear that this one is a little bit heavier, right? The ghunna is heavier. And the reason for that is because the qaf is heavy. Okay? Min qabl. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
All right, alhamdulillah. I was going to do the meme as well, but that's fine. So now we're going to quickly read through this here. By the way, there's one other thing I didn't mention. If the noon or meme has a shadda, they're going to be read with ghunna. That's easy. If they have a little shadda, you just pull it a little bit. Inna, amma. That's easy. Okay, so they did meme sakina first, so we'll go here. By the way, if you know the rules of noon sakina, the meme sakina are the same. It's just missing the iqlab, because in iqlab we change it, right? There's no need to change it in meme sakina because it's already a meme. It's already a meme, right? Okay. So the rules of noon sakina tanween are the same because they're both have the same pronunciation during wasl. Ban is the same thing as 2 fathas, bin same thing as 2 kasras, bun same thing as 2 dhammas. They have 4 rules: noon sakina and tanween, idhar, idgham, iqlab, and ikhfa. Idhar, if a noon sakina or tanween is followed by any of the letters of throat, then idhar will take place. It will be pronounced clearly without any extra ghunna. An followed by ayn, an amta. Kufu wan followed by hamza. Kufu wan ahad. Noon sakina, if it's followed by any of the letters of yaghmalun, you'll have idgham, either with ghunna or without. With ghunna is in yanmu, without is in the lam and ra. Min ladun min rabbi. Min wal man yaqulu khayran yarah mimma. These are all with ghunna because they're of yanmu. Okay. If they're in one word, then you do not apply ghunna. You just read clearly dunya, bunyan, qinwan, sinwan. Ikhlab is to change. So here you have a noon sakina followed by ba. You change the noon to mim, and you do ghunna. Mim ba'di. And then ikhfa is any of the letters besides that. So anfusakum qawman zalamu. Okay, and here is a nice chart. Now I did this very fast on purpose because next class we're going to actually start with reading the book. So I'm going to go ahead and explain the rules of Mim Sakina, and then we're going to go back and read the book properly, line by line, inshallah. Okay, so don't worry about it. I just did that quickly. We didn't read from the book yet, right? So we're going to go back and read from the book. You'll get another review, and then if you have any questions, you can ask. And yeah, that's it. So if anyone has any questions, they can ask now, inshallah. All we have remaining is the mad, and then waqf, and that's it. No, we're going to go through this book, same book, the one I just went through very quickly. So we didn't do Mim Sakina, right? We didn't do this yet. So we're going to cover that, inshallah. And then we do mad and waqf, and then we do a lot of practice. Okay, any questions before we conclude? So it's already 4:04 yes, Eastern time here. Any questions?
Not yet. We will revise this lesson, and maybe then any question will rise.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So you can go ahead and revise it over the week. You have a full week. You have time to catch up, inshallah. So if you need to catch up, please do so. And I will see everyone next week, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you.
Inshallah. Jazakallah.
Wa iyaakum, inshallah.
Jazakallah.
Inshallah, thank you.